Ah, playwriting. The only art form even tortured artists consider too crazy to pursue. From comedies to dramas, plays to musicals, once-a-year publishers to machine gun firing filler, playwrights offer a range of entertainment in these otherwise dark times. And yet, despite this expansive chasm of choices, we always fall back on one genre, one man, one divine truth. And that divine truth's name is Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly is widely regarded as one of the most influential playwrights of the modern generation and has become something of a beloved member of our troupe's iconography. But he's a lot more than just the man behind the words on the page. He's become something of a role model, a blessed champion sent from the heavens above to give us cheap rights and easy sets. But what if someone could reach that perch from which our divine Lord and his spiritual son Don Zelitis rests? What if someone could drink from that golden cup of strange happenings and old houses and elaborate schemes and cons, and what if they could write their own holy script using one of his own already written texts? That'd be pretty crazy. Someone should do that. You may remember me mentioning that Tim Kelly is seen as one of the most influential playwrights of the modern generation. But how did we get there? Well, to begin with, he was a member of the College Fellows of American Theater, which is prestigious in its own right, but he also had all of his productions performed by a wide range of various performing companies, from the Royal Court Rep to the Manhattan Theater Club and countless other fancy companies that you've likely never heard of. But did you ever stop and question why he was able to get all of these unique productions through so many different companies? Because he wrote over 300 of them. 300 productions. The 300 productions that I had to comb through in order to find and distill the perfect essence of each Kellyan full-length comedy. But X, I hear you say, why in the world would you go through all 300 different productions if ultimately you only need the full-length comedies? And to that I say, don't worry, I hear you. I hear you all the time through all waking hours of day and night, like a prophet receiving a constant stream of visions from an angry God. See, while various sites like Concord Theater are generous enough to provide you with the duration of the play as well as its genre, other sites, and I will not name names like the Pioneer Drama Service, don't give the proper respect to categorize and properly dedicate the time to our divine comedic father. So, of course, I went through over 300 productions just for you, just for this bit, and now I can hear all of the untold secrets of the universe whispering to me in my ears, in my head, and other parts of my body I dare not describe. But not to worry, for you see, I took those 300 productions and I did with them what you know me best to do. That's right. I made a spreadsheet! So, now with my holy spreadsheet in hand, I was able to whittle down these 300 productions just to the full-length comedies. All 108 of them. But because that number seemed impossibly large and probably illegal to force me to have to comb through all of them, I decided to further whittle them down into only the ones that contained the pure Tim Kellyan essence, so that way we could have a proper, perfect script in order to burn away all heretics who may stand in the way of our righteous crusade. Basically, I just took all the plays that had multiple authors and, were already based on previous literary works like Dracula and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and I cut down those 300 productions to a nice round number. 52. 52 plays and full-length comedies for me to have to go through and read. Let's do this. Now, while still uncomfortably impossible of a task for me to have to pursue, I still went to work reading every single script preview, Wikipedia page, and, synopsis available for all of these scripts, so that way I could better understand the true essence of what makes a Tim Kelly play. And I came up with every last one of them. The Kellyan Truths. And after reading through all of these different productions, I was left with two stunning thoughts. First, I couldn't even begin to comprehend and appreciate the majesty and prose from which the unmatched pen of our comedic genius flowed that must have inspired countless other artists moving forward to climb that peak of which so many have sought to attain before. My second thought was, hey Tim, what the fuck? That being said, I now had all of my blessed, consecrated phrases from which all Tim Kelly text was birthed, ready to wield my text as a holy paladin wields his blessed sword to excise all sin from the Tim Kelly canon and prepare us. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine. We'll, some water sounds great. Thanks. And so my work brings us here, to the foundations of the world that we stand upon, nay, the universe that we reside in. For, you see, here in my hand I hold the Kellyan Truths. Now, we don't have time for me to go through all of them one by one and read them individually, but the basic main idea is that ultimately all of these are non-linear constructs, much like time, and they depend on other constructs built and developed throughout other areas of their respective full-length comedy plays. And if that doesn't make sense, don't worry, it will. And to help us in our understanding, we're going to be following along with our own handy-dandy holy relic. That's right, here today we actually have one of the written scripts of Tim Kelly. Now, this one stands the test of time and proves just why Hamilton Theatre should be doing it for its play next year, and that's Night of the Living Beauty pageant. Script, please. The script. Night of the Living Beauty pageant. It should be right next to the Tim Kelly holy water and Don Zelitis incense burners. What do you mean we don't have it? But are you sure you're checking the right spot? I'll come check. Okay. So, upon hearing of the grievous sin that apparently this whole production team had just committed, losing one of the most sacred and blessed texts of our divine comedic master overlord, I had only one logical, explainable thought. I am going to throw myself into the empty abyss. But seeing as doing so would make me have to go outside and break quarantine and, not do my part to flatten the curve, I realized that instead I have to turn to the only thing we have in these dark times. Our respective faith and our individual icons and leaders. And there they are, the Kellyan Truths. Now, we must work with what our celestial bringer of joy has given us, and now combined with whatever vague memories I have from my presentation last year, combined with these perfect truths, we must recreate the plot to the Night of the Living Beauty pageant. What could possibly go wrong? Okay. So step 1, characters. So I know that there are 2 male leads in Night of the Living Beauty pageant, and their names are basic and stupid, something like Steve and Joe. That might actually be their names. I'm pretty sure they are. Doesn't matter. Now, there's also a female lead, and her name is Sherry, and she's one of their sisters, and she's awesome and super cool, and don't worry, we're getting to her in a second. But first we have to go to Kelly and Truth number 1, which states basically that all Kellyan plays must either involve an old abandoned house that has been inherited, bought, or otherwise acquired by our protagonist in some way. Or conversely, there's a scheme, an over-the-top con that will destroy everything. Think locomotion and then think disaster, respectively, for your 2 choices here. So, moving forward from the idea of the old house, I also know that our 2 boys, Joe and Steve, are down on their luck. And you know what that means? That means Kelly and Truth number 3, which reads, if 2 young men exist down on their luck, a con they create to gain a buck. They need money. They need money for whatever reason, and ultimately, these boys, they just want what all men really want. A sense of love and belonging and joy for them to move forward. But sadly, this is a farce, so they get none of that crap, and instead, they're gonna con some beautiful, insecure women in order to get money. Brilliant, right? Okay, so following the Kelly and Truth flowchart, we now arrive at Kelly and Truth number 4. If a male lead rises to the spotlight, a female shall cease his idiocy, filled with spite. So in that case, that's gonna be Sherry. You remember her? She's the sister of one of the boys and ultimately the owner of their 2 brain cells. So now we have Steve and Joe and Sherry. And see, Steve and Joe, while they're trying to con these women, Sherry ultimately is there to be the actual woman who knows women things and stop them from being killed by many different people. Now, Truth number 7 states, should a con be the POV you're from, so too shall exist a television crew, for if you build it, they will come. Now, basically this means that in every Tim Kelly play that features a long over-the-top scheme like I continue to mention, you're gonna get a television crew. And I know there are about 3 characters in the plot for Night of the Living Beauty pageant that happen to fit that bill, but I don't remember exactly what they do. I think the radio host is like, hey, I'm a radio host here, and I'm here to talk to you, and I don't know why I'm from the 1920s all of a sudden, but like, I'm talking to you, and I'm the radio host. And he might end up being like the star judge or something, but like, I don't know. Now, what matters most is our groups of crazies. So you have the beauty pageant girls who have real, actual names, but those names are flipped on their head and instead turned into 1 or 2 word phrases that really catch their most essential, truest form of their personality in their beauty pageant names. Much how like Joe and Steve's names are boorish and mediocre. Another streak of genius from our comedic writer. From here, however, things do get a little fuzzy in terms of what the oddball crew, as the Truths refer to them as, entails. Now, making up this oddball crew, there's typically someone pretty rich, and in this case, Miss Hawthorne and her daughter fit the bill, as Miss Hawthorne is here with tons of money to bill literally the entire beauty pageant and also rig the entire thing so that way her daughter wins it. You know, casually. So moving forward, we also have the cops who are chasing somebody who in turn are chasing somebody or something else. And typically that somebody has that something else. It's great. Oh, I remember. Okay, so the cops are chasing a mob boss. So this mob boss is like, alright, I'm a mob boss and I want your money and I want to take things from you because you owe me a debt and, you know, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. But basically, there's also this girl who's like, oh my god, I'm part of the mob boss, and I'm his girlfriend, and I love the muscle who is brought along, and I'm so cute. And you're like, wow, her voice is gonna get really annoying, but she's like Gigi Fontaine levels of pretty, so like, it's fine. So anyway, those people are chasing Mumbles. I'm pretty sure he's a fast food worker, and I think there's other people who are helping. One of them is like Rose Bowl, and like I think Penny is another one. Doesn't matter. So Mumbles goes to the boys, you know, Steve and Joe, and they're like, oh my God, you know, weekend with the boys. These nights for the boys. So the boys realize that, you know what? We're gonna get into some zany actions because we need to run away from this mob boss. So what do? That's right. What do they do? You know, I thought for sure I had it marked out of my brain somewhere. If only there was a Kelly in Truth that could reveal what to do when you don't remember the zany actions you're supposed to be getting into. Oh wait, there is. Secret truth number 9. No greater truth exists than this: when antics ensue, throw a dart at my wheel and never miss. But what could this wheel be? What majesty could our divine Lord Tim Kelly and his immortal son Don Zalitis have gifted us in order to be able to properly dictate what actions could happen? Well, I happen to have that holy relic with me right now. Just give me a second. That's right, it's a literal dartboard covered in holy, sacred events. Now, while some of these are, you know, normal, like throw 2 more darts to figure out more, and when you throw 2 more darts, by the way, all of them refresh magically, kind of cool. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Some of these are more normal, throw 2 more darts, you got a chase sequence, whatever. Some of these are just absolutely insane, like voodoo zombie assistance. Who'da thunk it? Am I right? Just, it goes to prove that we are mere insignificant specks compared to the power and the small amounts of it that our Lord Tim Kelly has to exude with just a mere percentage of his full capacity. And there we go. Would you look at that? Just like the truth says, you'll never miss. Janitor, closet, drag outfits. That's right. We're taking these 3 boys who are probably already some level of insecure about their own masculinity because, you know, they're in high school, and we're putting them in drag outfits made completely out of what you'd find in a janitor's closet. I'm talking wig hair mops. I'm talking broomsticks that are made to look incredible with large, bustling suits. We're gonna make them look like MILFs. And so, here we are again at the place we began, looking for what zany actions may take place next in order to continue our loving and amazing script penned by the unmatched Tim Kelly. But don't worry, with enough throwing of the darts, ultimately we've come to this plot that is probably 80% accurate. But now that we're here, there will of course always be general inconsistencies when you're working with over 300 productions written over the span of what to us humans is such a mediocre, decently long life, but to the gods is a speck. And so some of these inconsistencies may be like seeing, I don't know, maybe a couple of these characters from this production seem almost identical as if they were just them but from a couple years earlier in this production over here. Like the jeweler's thief from Laughing Room Only, who eventually end up being, I don't know, maybe the Gorilla Gang? Shocker, right? But, I mean, ultimately you can chalk them up to just be coincidences. And they're just human errors, right? Our ineffable Tim Kelly, even he can make some mistakes. Like how Miss Hawthorne and Miss Bumble seem to be nearly identical remakes of each other. Wait. How could I have missed it? Hawthorne. Bumble. Hawthorne is a tree. Bumble is a bee. Bees pollinate flowers. Hawthorn trees grow taller than towers. Miss Hawthorn finances the boys' pageant and rigs it for her daughter to win. But Miss Bumble finances Dover's project with loans so that way her daughter can kick and spin. They're the same person. It's all connected. How could I have been so blind? I said it myself. Tim Kelly is ineffable. There are no mistakes in the divine, grand plan of over 300 productions. You see, Tim Kelly must have seen our one insignificant speck of a universe across a sprawling metropolis of multiverses, each with its own individual, infinite possibilities that sprawl across each and every one of them. August Wilson hailed himself as a genius, as he was thought of by countless critics for his Pittsburgh Cycle to be the most amazing, extravagant piece of achievements when it comes to playwriting, and yet it only covered a couple of characters sprawling across a few decades in a small part of a state, in a country, on a planet, in the solar system, in a galaxy, in a universe, which all ultimately pales in comparison to the ultimate Lovecraftian mythos that is the Kellian mythos. For you see, only one truly blessed by the past, nay, ascended Tim Kelly and Donzelitis could begin to perceive the ramifications and perfections on such a cosmic scale. And who better to be the new prophet of a new age and multiverse than I? For you see, it is time that I unveil my ultimate trump card that I have been holding on to for far so long. For you see, I didn't stop at the 52 full-length comedies that I was supposed to read. No, I have been exposed to over 120 beautiful, perfect, consecrated scripts of text, and my need to consume Tim Kelly only grows. For you see, all of the eternal beings in their unknown machinations have brought each of us, influencing our actions, to this here moment. And now my purpose becomes increasingly crystalline. For you see, who other than Tim Kelly could draft anything to answer that question which our department now poses? That question which states, who shall shed the comedy needed unto the masses in these dark and trying times come next year? And now I know. Now I know the purpose for which I am meant. You have no idea. I am no prophet. I am the reincarnation of Tim Kelly, come to purify the high school theater's comedic world, and it is only here that I can ascend to begin to undergo the pure transformation back to my full power. Only here can I weave together the pieces of narrative thread and begin to understand what truly came to pass to acquire every last piece of my rightful throne and power. Will all come to me, I'll understand it all, and at the center of it all likely rests an eccentric billionaire who dies or mysteriously vanishes, only to give their old house away to their protagonist relative. And this protagonist relative, you ask, what happens to them? Well, they undergo a zany adventure, of course, with their friends and maybe other relatives. But those relatives didn't get it either. Only this relative gets the house. And you see, they're so down on their luck that they will be conning. They'll be conning every last one of the crazy voodoo zombie assistants janitor closet drag, random airplanes that come crashing through and taking place at the same time. But who knows? For you see, only then will I be able to undergo the truest transformation. Only then can I begin to understand how to weave and pull together the stories so that way I can wield the power of Zelitis and Kelly. But what's next? What are your clues? Show me what's next. The cowgirl from The Butler did it again. She must have met an actor there, and together they had a son. And what's that son's name? That's right, it's Bronco Winnie. Bronco Winnie from Disaster. And Bronco Winnie, he again meets Appassionata Abalone. Everyone meets the immortal actress who's from a bygone era. What's that era? I don't know. Maybe the dinosaurs. Doesn't matter. Because you know what does matter? If she's immortal, that means that she must have met all of the old house owners of these abandoned homes that continue to pop up time and time again. And those owners, they must know the secrets for me to ascend and become my true ultimate self. And do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? That means that ultimately, what are we but just a bunch of people trapped on a floating rock together? I know what we are. We're family. And family sticks together even through these crazy and dark times. And ultimately, I couldn't think of anybody that I'd want to see more than all of you to stop me from doing all of this. So remember, next year in that 2020 to 2021, we better be doing Night of the Living Beauty pageant, or else I will personally come and scream, because I did all of this just for that. Thanks. I love you guys. This is fine, right?